Do you watch those movies and shake your head?
I like them. I like science fiction, you know.
Right.
So yeah, I don't sit there. I grew up with Star Wars. That was when I was 9 years old or something like that.
It's
so I don't
funny
sit there
watching
going,
it
I just
now.
don't. Yeah, I'm not having this. I had an argument with Neil deGrasse Tyson, not an argument, but a debate with him about lightsabers once, because I claimed that they're physically, that in principle, they're possible. And he was trying to say that they aren't, but they are.
Would it have to loop back around because the light's not continuing to, like, the fact that it goes to a certain distance and pauses?
Well, you'd have to have a mirror or something, I guess, yeah.
Something would have to be at the end of it, right?
That's true. So it'd be a different kind of lightsaber. The only point I was making is that photons, particles of light, can bounce off each other. So we see that in really high energy experiments in particle accelerators, we can collide photons together. So my point was a bit of a pedantic physicist one, but it is true that light can bounce off it, can hit light,
Right.
but very, very high energy.
But when they press that button, it goes to a certain distance.
Yeah. That's engineering.
Right.
No, I agree with you. The distance thing doesn't work. Yeah,
there's no mass to it, right? So as you're swinging it around, you wouldn't have the leverage of a long thing. So why not make it really long? Because it wouldn't be difficult to swing around. Like you could stab someone with a lightsaber a mile away.
That's true. Yes,
right?
True. Well, that's just a laser, isn't it?
Yes. Like
I
why make it so short?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. You have to swing. You have to be close to hitting a person with it. That's a silly design.
You are picking holes correctly in the engineering part of mine. The only point I was making is the physics is that, which I think is quite interesting, is that light can bounce off light.
Yes.
That's the point.
So, but there would have to be something that causes it to stop at the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which would be, you're right, it'd have a mirror, but it wouldn't look cool, would it, if there was a kind of thing with them?
Well, what drives me crazy about Star Wars is not the lightsabers, it's the lasers when they're shooting the guns. I'm like, why can I see that when I can't see bullets?
Yeah.
Like, this is supposed to be way faster than a bullet.
Yeah.
Like, why is it easy to see this? Because it's like, you can duck. You can get out of the way of those things.
They're really slow, aren't they?
They're so slow.
Yeah.
I would be so angry. I'd be like, this is so dumb. I could go warp speed in this Millennium Falcon and travel the speed of light, but for whatever reason, these lasers are so slow that you could duck out of the way of them. That's so dumb.
And it's not only Star Wars, is it? It's everything. Every single film does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, it's like films like. Also, I worked on one of these films years ago, Sunshine.
Oh, that was a great movie. Very underappreciated movie.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a brilliant film. But in that, so they asked me, or Danny said, I want to do it right, so I'll do the spacecraft without any sound. So when it's traveling through space, it'll be silent, and it looks shit. You know, just when you watch it, it's the same when you try and film astronauts and they're in 0G and they always move slowly. Mm-hmm. It's like, why? You know, you're right. You don't.
Right, you'd be able to move very fast.
As fast as you want.
Yeah.
But it looks silly. So there's kind of I suppose it's what audiences have got used to over the years. And so in the end, you have when the spacecraft goes past. Apart from 2001, which didn't do it.
Yeah.
It was silent in 2001.
Well, Kubrick was a stickler for science and he would do complex mathematics in his spare time. What a fascinating guy that must have been.
Yeah. I read that they just someone just found an interview, didn't they, the other day, where he explained the ending of 2001.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday actually, and it was kind of a really simple version of it. He just said, well, the super intelligent beings take him in and put him in a zoo, basically, and watch him grow old, and then send him back to the Earth as a super being. But that's the worst explanation at the end of 2001 I've ever heard. But it was Kubrick's. That's what Kubrick said. So he falls into the monolith. Yeah, they just put him in this room, which is kind of a bad version of a French chateau or something. Watch him grow old and then send him back to the Earth as a super being.
What? Okay.
That was Kubrick's version.
How strange. It's a weird genre, right? Because sometimes people get things right. Like, didn't H.G. Wells predict a significant amount of scientific inventions in the future?
Well, there was his. I mean, it depends which one, doesn't it? There was a moon one, wasn't there? He did a journey to the moon. I mean, his time machine is not
right.
We're not going to be able to do that.
Really worked out yet?
No. but yeah. I think it's. I always like science fiction.
Yeah.
I like Arthur C. Clarke a lot. Because I think it is. You're right. It's a form that you can let your imagination wander and address things without restriction. I think.
Did you like the Alien series?
I loved it.
Yeah,
I saw Alien when I was at school. It was 1979, right? And we had a school film club. And in the 70s, they weren't like they are now, And so the first films they put on, the 3 films, I was 11, and it was Alien, Apocalypse Now, and Life of Brian.
Wow.
So that was my introduction to cinema.
Wow. Well, those are 3 great choices.
Yeah.
But I feel like Ridley Scott's original Alien is probably one of the greatest horror science fiction movies of all time, and one of my all-time favorite movies. But I really like the newer ones as well. Like I like Prometheus, and I really liked Covenant, the last one.
Yeah, Prometheus. I don't know.
It's not the best one.
I
But
love
I kind
the
of like
opening.
what they're trying to do with it. The whole idea about the engineers coming back in time, and
That's why I was disappointed with it, because I thought the setup, the opening is brilliant, and I thought this is just going to be brilliant.
Right.
And then I thought it just lost its way, and it was a disappointment because it could have been so brilliant.
yes, I agree with you. Yeah, the beginning was fantastic, but I think Covenant was more exciting, and well, it's also preposterous. Like if you went to another planet, like the last thing you'd be doing is just breathing in the air, right? I mean, we'd have to be really if there was a life on the planet, we'd have to be really careful, A, not to contaminate, but B, not to be contaminated, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's also, the other thing in science fiction films is gravity, because you always, even in Alien, you always just say the spaceship's got gravity. Again, there's only 2001.
Right.
Where everybody floats around.
Yeah.
Because, has a spinning thing.
Right. The spaceship has gravity, and then when you land, the gravity is exactly like Earth.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, but it's...
No. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, what are the odds that you would find a planet that is exact... Like, even if a planet was 1.5 times the size of Earth, it would have far more gravity, right? And that's really common for a planet to be, like, just a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And then we would be like, fuck, everywhere we'd be walking, we'd be getting crushed, right?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's not the point. It's about ideas, isn't it, science fiction?
Yes, and